It's Friday, August 11th, 2023. Let's talk about the news. From Ars Technica, author discovers AI-generated counterfeit books written in her name on Amazon. Author Jane Friedman recently discovered that a half-dozen books published via Amazon's self-publishing service and produced by AI software were using her name. Amazon initially declined to remove the books from their marketplace, closing her case when they learned she didn't have a trademark filed for her name. But after she called attention to what was happening in a blog post and on social media, the company quietly removed the titles in question. This isn't an isolated event, and other authors have been checking the service and discovering that fraudulent listings, often ebooks and print-on-demand paperbacks filled with AI-generated garbage content, are also using their names to trick people into buying these products. Fraudsters seemingly able to churn out enough of these pseudo-books that they can take a spray-and-pray approach, producing enough of them at essentially zero cost that they can still make a profit, even if all of their listings will eventually be discovered and pulled. This is just one manifestation of a larger concern related to generative AI, namely that it's so cheap and easy to produce content in this way, there's a good chance most or all of our communication channels will eventually be filled with this stuff, and the platforms that manage said channels don't seem to be ready for that potentiality. From the New York Times, presidential candidate in Ecuador is assassinated during rally. An anti-corruption presidential candidate in Ecuador, Fernando Villavicencio, was killed outside a high school in the country's capital, Quito, following a political rally during which he spoke to students about the ties between the country's government and organized crime. This assassination occurred just days before the next presidential election, and although Villavicencio was only polling in the middle of an 8-candidate race, his anti-corruption message was popular with young people in particular. A suspect was killed in a melee that followed the shooting, and authorities have said they've detained 6 other people in connection with the assassination as well. And from the Wall Street Journal, Biden restricts U.S. investment in China. The U.S. government has announced further restrictions on doing business with China, this time focusing on how and to what degree Americans are allowed to invest in Chinese entities. This new collection of restrictions will go into effect next year and will prevent American investors from funneling money into Chinese companies working on advanced semiconductor and quantum computing technologies, among others. The idea being to further degrade China's ability to compete in spaces that are considered to be the next vital technological frontiers, which is meant to further increase America's advantage in these spaces, reinforcing existing restrictions that hamper China's ability to import relevant goods and deal with relevant companies based in the US and allied countries. If you're finding some value in one-sentence news, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com, and you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts at understandery.com.